So with the pluralist stage and how social justice arises, I want to just read one of your paragraphs here. People in the pluralist stage begin to interact reciprocally with one another in subtle ways because they're able to see others' own interiors and also experience empathy for others' lives. The recognition of suffering and the broader human condition begins to take on new meaning here as we become connected to the subtlety or collective and realize that we all have unique and valid ways to see the world. This new awareness that reality is based in experience creates an understanding that we are all embedded in and shaped uniquely by the context of our lives and all worthy of respect and dignity. Mm. And you wrote that and published this before our global pandemic. And I mean, talk about being right on time. That's exactly what we're experiencing right now. So thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, like I said, I was called to write this book, and I'm near tears because this is so fundamental to who I am as a being. That, you know, my purpose is to liberate others' souls, and I truly believe that, you know, as stated, each and every one of us came here to live these unique, one-of-a-kind contributions. And when we truly begin to recognize that every single being on this planet deserves to live their full life and is worthy of being enabled to have that contribution, you know, it will be a different place. That's why I do purpose work.
Well, thank you for doing purpose work. And thank you for being a mentor and guide to all of us. So then that brings us into the next stage of Strategist. And I just wanted to read a short excerpt that I think will help a lot of folks that are connecting tonight, because it made me think of quite a few people that are here. So in this next stage, because of the broader and deeper awareness that we are each unique, we begin to imagine that each person has a right to develop to their highest capacity, and that becoming our authentic selves is the foundation for our greatest contributions. This 4.5 strategist stage is a very advanced stage of consciousness or human development. If more people on the planet could advance to this stage, we could resolve most of the volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous dilemmas on the planet because of the capacity to see and develop new systems. There's a lot of folks who are very interested in doing that work, and I think we're finally ready for it.
Mm-hmm. We are. I'm excited. You know, as horrific as the pandemic was for many people, and you know, caused great suffering, and still is for many, especially the impoverished. It was a strategic shift in the tide of what we paid attention to. And because more people were forced to get quiet and pay attention to what was going on inside, and to look around and notice the discrepancies and the disparities and the injustices. So we gained internal and external perspective all at one time. The whole world couldn't deny it. It was no longer hidden in any way. We woke up. You know, we grew a whole stage. We grew a whole stage in this time frame, which means that more of us now are ready. I mean, I'm just ecstatic about the world finally being ready to do something about what we've done to ourselves and to the planet. Hallelujah.
And I think, again, really being able to understand your ex-husband, half of our coworkers, academia, healthcare, it's just their stage of development. Like, it's nothing personal. It's just where they're at, and it's not where you're at or I'm at or most of us are at. So that just like takes a lot of the stress and the pressure off, just having that awareness of the differences.
You know, and to that point, it's also really critical that we keep repeating, nobody's wrong here. Nobody's bad, nobody's better, nobody's inadequate. We all are just where we are. And so it's absolutely significant that the most important work we do, you know, becoming our true self, actually means we do it wherever we are. So a really developed, you know, highly caring person in the concrete tier is every bit as important, if not more, than somebody who's rushed their way to the meta-aware tier and skipped a lot of stages doing them well and has all kinds of shadow and bypass. But hey, I'm on my way to transcendence because this person who's bypassed a lot of really important stuff is not going to be able to bring their full self to the world. And this person over here in the concrete tier who's done a great job filling in all the developmental tasks and is a, you know, a pillar of his or her family or community is making a greater contribution. So I want to be really clear. I believe that wherever we are is our most important, is where we would focus and do the tasks that are there for us.
Be here now.
You know.
Yep, just be here now. I had that conversation today with a great colleague where it's like such a roller coaster, and just to embrace that at this moment, this is the reality and this is the present moment, and really just accepting that and not rushing through and denying and sitting in that. So I love it. We're not going to take the time to get into meta-aware, but I know as folks pick up your book, and there's only, what, 5% of the globe that's in that stage anyway, but I found that, I hope I experience that someday. It sounds pretty cool. And again, how unique and special you are that you can shed light on all that for us and let us understand those stages of development. It's pretty cool. So your purpose impact roadmap as a tool for folks to start on their journey. Can you just speak briefly about what that offering is to help people find themselves?
Yeah, it's so it's a free PDF on my website, and I'd spent the last 10, 15 years developing a methodology as a scientist. I'm quite the nerd, and I developed grounded theory. So as I'm working with my clients over the last several decades, you know, just all started to click, like, these are things that are making a lot of sense, and these aren't working so much. So I started putting together a model of what it was required to help people live into their fullest potential, as I now call it their purpose. And I guess for the past 6 or 7 years, I've actually sort of been in my lab and testing things and refining them, and, you know, really taking to heart my role as really figuring out what will help us go to the, you know, the furthest reaches of where we are now. And so I developed this 12-step model that is, you know, getting clarity about your purpose, learning to live a very agile life, and then amplifying the best of who you are in your career or your work setting, family, etc. So this roadmap from purpose to impact is, you know, how to figure out who you are and what is your purpose, get some clarity, and then learn to bring it into the world, including resolving all the stuff that keeps you from living that, and then building something, whether it's career or business, around that. So that's the roadmap. It's a series of steps. I need to do a lot more writing about that, and I actually am planning one of the next couple books will be more elucidation about the roadmap itself, but it's a start.
Well, it's a wonderful, wonderful PDF, and I appreciate you putting it out there as a tool to help folks. So what is your website if people wanted to download that PDF?
hollywoodscoaching.com.
Fantastic. And is your book also available through your website?
On my website, I have a page that has the book and a link to one of the online retailers, but it's several of the online. It's not in bookstores yet because bookstores haven't been open since it's been published. So, yeah.
Wonderful. Well, it was so fun, especially the case studies and, you know, reading about friends and colleagues of ours, hearing your journey and the
I'm guessing Christin will come back here shortly.
that you included. And it's a poem by John O'Donohue.
We lost you there for a minute, Christin, just to let you know.
Oh, thank you. Sorry about that. Well, I was actually just closing us up. And if possible, I was going to be reading For a New Beginning that you included in the book by John O'Donohue. And I think that's a beautiful summary of your work, of the journey, and I think it'll resonate with a lot of folks. So, For a New Beginning. In out of the way places of the heart, where your thoughts never think to wander, this beginning has been quietly forming, waiting until you are ready to emerge. For a long time, it has watched your desire, feeling the emptiness growing inside you, noticing how you willed yourself on, still unable to leave what you had outgrown. It watched you play with the seduction of safety and the gray promises that sameness whispered. Hear the waves of turmoil rise and relent, wondering, would you always live like this? Then the delight, when your courage kindles, and out you stepped onto new ground. Your eyes young again with energy and dream, a path of plenitude opening before you. Though your destination is not yet clear, you can trust the promise of this opening. Unfurl yourself into the grace of beginning that is at one with your life's desire. Awaken your spirit of adventure, holds nothing back. Learn to find ease in risk. Soon you will be home in a new rhythm, for your soul senses the world that awaits you. I'll tell you. And that's what you're doing. You're helping us all find the courage to live authentically and on purpose. And I'm just humbled and honored that our paths have crossed. You've made such an impact on my world. And I think that's going to resonate for, I hope, the rest of my life.
Thank you so much for that honor. And I'd also like to say that we're all doing that. Each and every one of us in our own way, as best we can, is on that journey. You know, sometimes more easily than others, but we're all on that path.
Thank you for your beautiful work and your beautiful soul.
Mm-hmm.